Yeah. Are you ready?
This is the TMCU, we save the world, me and you. No matter the fight, we will always rise. The invaders help us, and we help them. Now it's time to defend. We will fight to the end, time to avenge. Friends along the way, help us save the world, never back down. Always be proud, we are the TMCU. Yeah, I give you strength, and you give me strength. Love and gratitude never die. Friends around us as we touch the sky. TMCU! Yeah!
This is Molten Iron Man by Gavin. Nevada, Area 51, proper 1990. The sun vanishes right behind the dry, rigid mountains, darting like teeth in the far, windy horizon. A hangar door opens upon the landing strip as two men escort a giant metal box. Jarvis, we probably created something more destructive than splitting the atom itself. Are you ready to test this technology? Howard Stark says to his assistant colleague. After 20 years trying to develop a prototype, I think the time lost with our families, it's more than just worth it, sir. Think about your wife, Maria, and all the holidays you missed with your son, Tony, Jarvis says as he places a hand on Howard's shoulder. Engage arc reactor Mark 0. The metal crate opens as a giant sphere emerges from its metal sarcophagus. Jarvis and Howard stand back 300 feet as a bright light of energy fires in all directions as its energy increases by the second. Howard quickly tackles Jarvis to the ground without hesitation as a burst of energy shoots above them and the sirens blare. Now this is Long Island, New York. 2 days later, Wonderwall plays as 16-year-old Tony Stark eats Pringles while reading a Transformer comic. Knock knock. Tony hears his mother at his bedroom door. You haven't left your room on all afternoon. Go eat your dinner, Tony, Maria says as Tony rolls his eyes, taking his headphones off and throwing his comic down as he follows his mother to their dining room as a Fox TV is blaring. The newscaster speaks as a fire blazes behind her. Unknown fires sweep across bars, homeless camps, and street performers. Authority. Maria changes the channel as Tony turns up the volume on his cassette player and pays no attention to his food or the TV, showing a breaking news report in Nevada as his mother breaks into utter confusion and tears. Tony opens his eyes, untipping his tears as Black Hole Sun screams into his ears and his mother hugs him tightly. Tony looks at the TV, realizing his father's work is nothing but a smoldering crater. New Orleans, Louisiana, 1 week later. A man dressed in black leather darts past incoming traffic as he squeezes between semi-trucks with ease and precision. Watch it, moron! Trucker screams as he swerves to avoid the mysterious biker on the highway. The biker slides his bike under a barrier, stating, Mardi Gras Parade. The biker walks through crowds of civilians participating in the celebration. A drunken man walks into the biker, spilling his drink on their black leather coat. Watch it, punk! The drunk says, slurring his feet. The biker grabs the man by his neck effortlessly, slams him into a neon open sign outside a bar. The biker's helmet begins to slowly melt as his grip intensifies. The drunk's face begins to turn blue as a purple explosion tears open the bar's entrance. The biker realizes the man's unfazed. The biker walks through the bar's destroyed entrance where a man in a trench coat stands 10 feet away. What am I? The strange man asks in a Louisianian accent with raw confusion. You destroyed every soul in this chamber, the biker says as spikes tear through his leather jacket. Yeah, what is the meaning of this? I woke up a table with a shotgun to my face, the stranger says as burning poker cards rain from the smoldering ash cloud. The biker's hands begin to turn red as he marches toward the stranger. The stranger quickly telepathically uses the burning cards and throw them at the biker, throwing him across the street, breaking his helmet. The biker awakes, hours later, in a cell. He looks at his pale complexion through a small puddle. He soon realizes he's handcuffed to a chain link around his legs. Play it cool, Johnny. Not everyone in here is a sinner, the biker thinks to himself as he peeks his head inside of the reinforced steel bars to the huge prison network filled with thousands of prisoners all doing the same thing. A bell rings as hundreds of guards go to each cell block. Dinner time, freaks! A heavily armed guard says, activating his wrist-mounted control pad, opening each cell doors. Each cellmate is escorted to the heavily guarded cafeteria. You think a place like this would offer you more than just slop? A man complains to Johnny as he sits across from him, slamming a tray down. Who are you? And what is this place? Johnny says, carefully looking around, sliding his tray to the side. I know the same you know, but I'm Benjamin. But the people I did know called me Dex, Benjamin says, as a guard sips cups of water onto the table, eyeballing both of them in intimidation. How did you end up here? Johnny then further questions Dex. I was on a chase after a guy named Matt. Heh, guy's blind as a bat. Yeah, just cut to the chase, Dex, Johnny says impatiently. Okay. Took a corner down an alley to flank Matt, but all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, it's snowing, and I'm in the middle of Ohio. Somehow these fuckers found me hours later and beat me to a pulp, and I wake up in a cell, Dex exclaims to Johnny. Now, how about you? Dex says to Johnny, I'm Johnny Blaze. I know sinners from all walks of life. And here, I can't read them, nor judge their fates. I heard police scanners down south of an evil organization at a local pub. A strange fellow blew open the bar, turning everyone to ash. I couldn't testify, but he didn't seem to know where he was, much like you. He knocked me out soon after that, but everything is still kind of fuzzy, Johnny says as Dex rolls a ball of slop into his cupped hands. What do you mean you could judge people? Dex asks Johnny. Long story short, I made a deal with Lucifer to stop a terrorist organization from consuming the world, and in return, I fill hell for him, Johnny explains to Dex. Long Island, New York. Meanwhile, Tony wanders around his luscious mansion, full of pictures of his father he once had. Tony runs his fingers along the railing to the dark basement as the motion lights light up one by one. Tony begins to look through his late father's documents and pictures for a nostalgic trip from through the years. I miss you, Pops, and I always have, Tony whispers to himself as a lone tear runs down his cheek. As Tony lifts up more documents, he grabs a book from the center console. A rumble shakes the basement library as a trapdoor reveals itself in front of Tony. What in the world? Tony says in raw confusion. Tony steps down a sloped decline through the sizable trapdoor. An elevator door slowly opens as the interior light flickers and the cobwebs disintegrate. What are you hiding, Dad? Tony says to himself as he presses the only button on the elevator control panel. The elevator falls to the ground immediately as Tony makes contact with the panel. The elevator comes to a complete halt as Tony's ears pop. The elevator door opens as each light slowly powers on. Through the dust, Tony spots a silhouette of a metallic suit, marked with a white star and a military-grade paint job. Tony looks at the hulking 10-foot suit. Tony, being curious as a cat, touches its center module that throws him across the room, stunning him. Tony picks himself up as papers and documents fall to his feet. Arc reactor? The scared and shocked Tony says as he looks at the suit's blueprints. Nuclear-powered Stark suit. Project Iron Man. Suit created by Stark Industries for orientation and profit for United States military. Used to combat Soviet Union if war comes to our nation's doorstep. Orientation date, September 12th, 2003. Tony flips the blueprint to the backside. Suit to be reinforced with prototype arc reactor next year. First arc reactor Mark 0 energy test scheduled. Warning, test may rip space and time due to excessive energy output? A tear drops onto the blueprint. Tony realizes his father could still be out there. I'm gonna find you, Dad. You're gonna answer to this, Tony says as he looks at the towering suit. News time, a man dressed in a boiler suit says as he throws papers through each cell door. Johnny unravels the paper. He reads countless crimes as some of his fires still rage across the world. Johnny turns to the next newspaper page. Nevada crater? A Soviet strike? A portal? A peaceful night crept over Las Vegas. Then, without warning, a beam of light was seen over the horizon as the heavens tore apart the sky in a blue hue, says countless reports. Power outages and martial law affect the following states: Nevada, California, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, and Utah. Warning, if you harbor a person with strange abilities, you will be prosecuted. Johnny stands at the cell door as his skin begins to glow red. The handcuffs stay unfazed as his orange prison suit burns off, creating black smoke from his cell door. Fire alarms screech as a platoon of guards gather from outside Johnny's cell. This is the 7th one this week. Fire at the inmate! A guard captain says as the rest fire relentlessly into the burning cell. The guards' weaponry begin to melt as a burst of fire vaporizes them instantly. A burning skeletal handcuffed man melts the cuff off and grabs the long chain that connected to his melted ankle chain and wraps it around his wrist. Containment breach! A traumatized guard screams as he sounds a lockdown. The prisoners cheer as Johnny Blaze flips a lever, releasing thousands of prisoners. Go back to your cells! A guard says, wearing a giant iron suit, as the guard leaps from a catwalk, firing into the ceiling. The rioting prisoners begin to trample most of the guards. The mech guard flies through the charging prisoners, painting everything red. Johnny throws his chain around the mech's legs, causing its cannon to rip into the pilot's canopy as it trips, obliterating the pilot. A guard throws a bucket of water onto Johnny as he stands unfazed atop a mech. A paper airplane whizzes past Johnny, slices into the guard's head, destroying him. Bullseye! Dex says as he attempts to shake Johnny's hand, realizes he's made of fire. Johnny! Is that you? Dex says, surprised. Call me Ghost Rider, Johnny says as he marches to a giant steel door. He places his hands onto the door, and it instantly melts to the ground as the rest of the prisoners wreak havoc among the fortress. Stark Industries Lab, says a huge neon sign on the wall, full of cargo and vehicles. See you on the news, Johnny. See ya, hothead. Bullseye says as he escapes the vehicle through a garage complex. Ghost Rider grabs a nearby motorcycle and drags it aggressively toward him with his chain. The bike ignites into flames as it growls. Ghost Rider rams through a garage exit where the whirling of helicopters create a vortex of snow. Ghost Rider ramps off of a road barrier toward the low-flying security helicopter. Ghost Rider quickly throws his chains onto the routers, causing the helicopter's blades to rip apart. Ghost Rider pulls his chain back effortlessly as he ramps off a cliff overlooking Colorado's wilderness. Stark! I'm coming for you! Ghost Rider screams as he fades into the intensifying blizzard. Tony wakes up after a nightmare of a skull screaming he's coming for Stark. Tony opens his bedroom door as the hallway lights blind him. As he makes his way to his bathroom for melatonin. Mom! Stop! Tony screams as his mother swallows an entire pill bottle outside the bathroom. I can't stop, Tony! I can't without Howard! Maria says in tears. Tony slaps the pill bottle from her hands as her eyes roll back and foam runs from her mouth. Mom! Stay with me, Mom, please! Tony, without hesitation, dials the police as his mother's limp body falls onto the ground, unresponsive. Tony drops the wall phone as he watches his mother draw her last breath. Sirens wail outside Tony's house as Tony stumbles and runs to his father's secret elevator. Tony quickly pulls a valve from the back of the suit as he hears the first respondents break down the door. Greetings, Mr. Stark. a voice says with a British accent. Take me to Nevada, Tony says to the suit as a secret sewer drain opens from the side of the wall. A motorcycle screams down a highway in the desert at alarming speed. Road closed ahead. An orange dyed wreath as Ghost Rider darts past it, turning it to ash. A service band screams in the distance as Ghost Rider breaks through the cement barrier as he closes in on the crater. Don't go in there! It's radioactive! A man in a hazmat suit screams, waving his arms at the mouth of the crater. The hazmat worker trips and plummets to the ground. At the last second, a metallic suit darts by, saving the man from the fall. Ghost Rider walks to the ground zero of the crater, where the arc reactor feeds energy to the bright blue rip in the sky. Who are you? Tony screams in his dad's suit of armor. Ghost Rider pays no mind as he waves his chain to destroy the reactor. As Ghost Rider's chain whips back, Tony quickly grabs the chain, yanking Ghost Rider towards him. Bad idea, Ghost Rider says, yanking his chain back. Tony stumbles back in shock. It's the skull from his dreams, Tony realizes. What do you want? Tony screams for Stark to pay for his... Wait. For Stark to pay for the prisoners he's using for something beyond both of us, boy, Ghost Rider says as the sound of military vehicles approaching from outside the crater. Ghost Rider places his fiery hand onto the ground, creating a blazing wall of fire around the crater itself. Fortunately, you're looking at the only Stark, Tony says as he engages his weapon system. A son of a tyrant, to pass the torch. Consider this a family heirloom of incineration, Ghost Rider says as he opens his jaw, firing a breath of fire towards Tony. Tony engages his pulse beam from his chest, countering the blast and blasting Ghost Rider to his knees. I'll peel that iron hide from your body, Ghost Rider says as he raises his palm up. Giant lava-like hands grab a hold of Tony's suit. Tony attempts to fly off, but the hands drag his legs deeper underground. Ghost Rider grabs the suit's face and rips it off as he melts into hand. Ghost Rider looks Tony in the eyes. The smell of molten iron, so delicious. Tony begins to lose himself into Ghost Rider's eyes as Ghost Rider slowly possesses him. Let's see who you really are, Tony, Ghost Rider says. I'm Iron Man! Tony screams as his chest blasts Ghost Rider into the damaged arc reactor across the crater. Ghost Rider explodes in a huge energy pulse, deactivating Iron Man's suit and destroying the arc reactor. The giant hands disintegrate and the firewall fades away as Tony falls onto the radioactive ground, coughing up some of his lungs. In the process, an army of hazmat soldiers apprehend Tony, place him into a military escorted ambulance. As the convoy drives off into the distance, bones of Ghost Rider begin to disconnect. Vitals good, radiation levels non-existent, lungs healing, the doctor says as he leaves the operating room with a nurse walking in. You got some balls, kid, the young nurse says, replacing Tony's IV. Thanks, Jane, Tony says. The end. 5 years later, Tony sits in his college dorm as the vice president gives a speech to the TV. With the widespread crimes caused by humans with abilities, I will fund a new branch to deal with these acts. This is Vice President Thaddeus E. Ross. If you have otherworldly abilities, think again. Tony smirks and looks to his new suit next to him. That's the end.